Hello family, are you following me on social media? I do Inspirational Tuesdays. I motivate you. I keep you connected with the Word of God. Find me and most important, follow me on all my social media platforms. Hello everyone. I'm so glad that you have come back and joined me. I am here at the NRB and it's just been so much fun because I've got to sit down and talk with people that I just would normally walk past in this huge exhibition place. But as it is common to see my face now, you know that I'm bringing somebody new that I've just met, and we're going to have this wonderful conversation about a woman in media, and she is fascinating. So she is a 80s, I'm just going to say 80s film producer and just tease you so that when she tells you who she is and what she does, we're going to have some wonderful conversation going on, right? So, Miss Catherine, it's so lovely to have you. Tell them who you are and where you live first.
My name is Catherine Clinch, and I live in Los Angeles.
And the lovely thing about Catherine is that I've discovered that she is a film producer, TV producer, writer-producer. And so the immediate thing that you want to ask is, Catherine, what production have you written for and been a part of?
The shows that are still running today from the 80s and 90s are Hunter, Jake and the Fat Man, Knight Rider, Love Boat, and Heart to Heart. I've written for a lot of other things.
And so I know all these. These were produced here in America, but I know all these because they came across the pond to the UK. We loved Heart to Heart. So we love that dynamic duo, right? And then we all love Knight Rider.
Yes.
And so what got you into this arena of media?
I did not ever intend to be a writer. I was working on a PhD at Columbia University.
Oh my gosh.
My degrees were theater, film, and speech comm, and my dream was always to go to Columbia and get a PhD. I don't know why. I grew up in Manhattan, and I would drive by it on the number 4 bus all the time. So that was just an embedded goal, and I had a chance to start. And I took 3 classes to start, and one of them was screenwriting. And the teacher was Samson Rafelson, who had written the original Jazz Singer, which had an autobiographical tone. And then he wrote for Hitchcock and Lubitsch. And some of his films were Shop Around the Corner, that became You've Got Mail as a remake. And Heaven Can Wait, which was remade as Heaven Can Wait. And he was 82 and I was 24.
What an impact.
And so I wrote one script in his class, and he said, "You're a writer, and you've got to promise me when you get into the Writers Guild, you'll be active," because I was one of the first members.
Oh,
so I have done that. I have been on the board of directors.
What a prophetic word.
I have. Right now I'm chairing a committee, and I'm on 5 others. And so I wrote one script, and I showed it to 2 people. One showed it to an agent at William Morris. I got signed, and 3 weeks later, I was writing an after-school special.
That is amazing.
Suddenly I was a writer. I didn't want to write an after-school special. Then they put me on Search for Tomorrow, which I really didn't want to write. I used to have a little sign over my desk saying, "Search for Tomorrow, it's got to be here somewhere." But then I got to write on a show called Foul Play at Paramount. I had moved out to LA, and it was just a great entry into the industry.
You know, I interviewed somebody earlier, and I said, you just need one teacher that believes in you, that sees the potential and will push you. And for you, you had somebody with a enormous history and resume.
But here's the interesting thing. Nobody else in the class wanted to be there. Oh, he's old. What does he know? He hasn't done anything in forever. And I went up, I got there a little late, and I took the last seat except for the head of the table. It was a long conference room and conference table room. And so I sat down, and he walked in very slowly. Very slowly. He was 82 years old, so it was really slow. Then he sat down next to me. He took out his hearing aids and put them on the table in front of them, and he started to talk. And the first thing he said, this is the sentence that guides all my writing: a story is about people and what happens to them. It's not about the plot. It's not about all the gimmicks or the 10 minutes in a Whopper. It is a story. A story is about people and what happens to them.
And clearly that has left an impression that you have made part of your mantra and skill, right? How did you move from the different stages? Because, all that you've named are totally different shows. That's
Yeah.
totally different writing skills.
One of the things about me is that I'm able to, as they say in tech, pivot
Oh, we just talked
and be
about that.
agile.
Yes.
And so I do that creatively.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do stand-up comedy. I'd be working at the studios all day.
Excuse me.
And then at night, I'd go to the Improv, the Comedy Store, and the Playboy Club, where I was conspicuously overdressed. And I would do stand-up for fun. I didn't want to act on a series.
Mhm.
And I was around people who became great before they became great.
Yes.
So it was a fascinating study of what happened. And in the early 80s, comedy was rock and roll. So it was just fun.
I've watched the documentaries, of the LA comedy scene, improv, and how everybody, when they finished, all the comedians finished the stand-up, they'd go back and talk and show with each other. So that must have stimulated also your creativity.
Very much so. And the reason I was doing it was because I wanted to see, it was like I was studying. How many words does it take to make a joke work really well? And how many words kill it? And so I was doing something I loved. And, I had always gone through life, nice Catholic school girl.
Yeah.
You meet your mutual friends. You call me in a week. I vet you.
Yes.
I was never, ever, ever going to be the girl who met a guy at a bar.
Right.
I met my husband at the bar at the Improv, but it was my place of employment, so it's slightly less slutty. And we've been together now for over 40 years.
Wonderful.
And we still laugh and have a great time together. We never run out of things to talk about. It just happened that way.
Yeah.
And doing stand-up taught me how to communicate with people, because
Lovely.
when it's 1 a.m. and you have a room full of people who are somewhere between the 2-drink minimum and being grossly overserved,
right,
and they have no vested interest in liking you, you
and
quickly,
no filter.
No, and you quickly learn if you're funny or not.
Yes.
And fortunately, I got enough encouragement to keep coming back. But it was something that I was doing for joy, and my husband met me when I was playing.
Oh, so he saw you in your creativity.
Yeah, when I was just having fun. And I wasn't going after, I've got to get an audition for this show, or I'm building a character someone could write a sitcom about. I was talking about my life. I would talk about politics and God and relationships and all kinds of things.
That connects people immediately.
Absolutely. And there was one day, I have to tell you, it was just the amazing thing. I was in Crown Books, which no longer exists. And I'm walking around the aisles, and I hear these 2 girls on the other side of the aisle I'm in. And they're talking about having gone to the Comedy Store. And they were talking about the different comedians. And then one said, oh, there was this funny joke this woman did. And it was my joke.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there going, I want to burst through the books,
right.
but that would be icky.
Yeah.
So I just kind of walked around, and I was standing in the aisle looking down there and just enjoying that sense of, wow, I got through to somebody.
Affirmation.
Because when you're writing, nobody knows who writes. Back when I was writing in the 80s and 90s, I would get an assignment and go home and write the script by myself and come back and get notes if there were some. And a couple of times they just shot my first draft. And I think that's because it was just coming out of my head. There was no, I have to sit in a room around a table and play, can you top this? And I think that it was a much better way to enter writing. Because right now, if somebody comes in and becomes a writer and they get a staff job sitting at the writer's table, you don't know who is the punch-up person. You don't know who's the person who's really good at structure or who's doing dialogue. When you take this script that has a name on it, you have no idea how much that name contributed to the script. And you may, in fact, be looking to hire them based on somebody else's work.
Input. You have just blown our minds right now, because I know because of COVID, a lot of people have got into writing, have found their creativity. What advice can you give them?
Okay, there's a couple of things. Everybody thinks they can write.
Yes, sometimes it's just for you.
This does not mean that somebody's going to pay millions of dollars to produce what you write. And that's okay. The other thing is that, and it's a very delicate thing when someone says, I was called to be a screenwriter by Jesus. And I just kind of sit there patiently. And I sometimes will say, don't you think that if Jesus called you into service, he would have asked you to be a doctor or a scientist who could cure cancer or something like that? Because I'm devoutly religious and I never felt like Jesus was going, listen, I have an idea. Why don't you work on a treatment for this? I write because that's what I choose to do.
Yeah. And it's a passion.
Yeah. And it's fun for me.
Yeah.
I love to sit down and break a story. It's fun.
What is your next project?
Well, I have two. One of them is that I'm doing an aspirational series about older women
Ooh,
who
very
you would
good.
want to know. You'd want to know these women. It's not Golden Girls. You know, I used to watch Golden Girls and watch and say they're walking around in house coats. They're eating cheesecake around a table.
Yeah.
Every time there's crisis, there's the gallon of ice cream with the spoons. And those aren't the women I know. And I'm 67. I've won 5 hackathons.
Wonderful.
And most people don't know what a hackathon is.
Please.
It's a big competition, which everybody goes in and works nonstop for 48 hours to create apps that are you're competing for prizes from the companies. And I've won the AT&T regionals in Los Angeles twice.
That's impressive.
But I was doing it for fun. It was like debate team weekends.
Yeah.
Go away and think about a bunch of stuff. And so I'm working on an aspirational series about women who do that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Because I got my first technology. I have 3 technology patents. I got my first one when I was 58. I invented a mobile platform that I hope you'll all be addicted to soon. It's called Clixit. And we're building out the app. And
incredible.
But it was easier to invent something that didn't exist and get a patent, which is a really high standard of vetting, than it is to convince anybody that the old lady has the next cool thing.
You know, she said her age. She said when she got her award. And from some of you sitting there thinking, you know, the ship has sailed. You know, the shelf has collapsed. I haven't put it on the shelf. The shelf has collapsed. I hope this inspires you because she found her passion. And that's what I hope that this will do for you. It will help you find your passion. You listen to the transition. I hope you go back and listen. You listen to the transition in her life, but she kept on going. She did things that sparked that passion.
And see, the thing is, when you say the ship has sailed, that makes way for another ship to come in.
See, that's
so you might be waiting for the wrong ship. And if your ship comes in and you get on the wrong ship, you miss the one you were supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Like I thought that I wanted to be a director. All through film school in the 70s, I was told repeatedly, you can't direct, you're a girl. Girls don't direct.
Right.
But I've seen you dress. You quite interesting. You should do costumes. Okay. Oh, the 70s. Okay. So at any rate, when I got into the Directors Guild training program on my first try,
Wow.
Some people wait like a decade of tries to get in. And I got in and I discovered I don't really like being on the set all day, every day. It's one thing to be the writer that gets set down to set because your script is being shot and you know somebody has a question. It's another thing to have to get up every morning to get to the location by 5 a.m. to watch everybody's. It's just not who I am.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have discovered that if I hadn't gone into the Directors Guild training program.
Very good.
And so my other project, because I looked you up, you're based in Detroit now?
No, Covenant Daughters is in Detroit.
Oh, okay.
I live in Dallas, Texas. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, for Covenant Daughters, I am writing a project that's set in Detroit called The Millennial's Guide to the Apocalypse. And the premise is every generation gets one chance to save the world.
Yeah.
And now the last team up at bat has got to go. And that was inspired because shortly before he died, I got hired to do Stan Lee's Steam Squad. And it was going to be a comic book about 5 super smart girls in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Wonderful.
Who save the world or their neighborhood.
Wonderful.
With science and technology. And just by being smart. And they are better together than they are individually. So that was a project that I was hoping to get to art because he died before he took it to art. And I called around, I talked to all of these comic book artists who said $1,000 a page when I get to it. And I thought, okay, well, all right, so maybe that's going great. $1,000 a page, 32 pages. Let's have that conversation. But what do you mean when you get to it? And they said, look, you're not Stan. You're not Dark Horse. If I get a call from a real comic book company, I drop what you're doing. I said, so you're halfway through the last page. I drop what I'm doing.
Mm.
And I thought, well, that kind of, doesn't help me.
Yeah.
So I created a project on my own. I haven't pulled it up here, but it is
Incredible.
just something I fell in love with. I'm probably not going to be able to find it now because it's short notice, but I did all the artwork myself. Here, this is the example.
Oh, hold it up to the screen. I hope they can see good.
There we go.
Yeah.
The Millennial's Guide to the Apocalypse.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so I did the story and the art, and it's digital tools. So I get excited by a challenge of, I don't know how to do that. Let's try it.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful. And I just want to really encourage you. I just want to say this. I just want to really encourage you that whatever tool God has put in your hands, He's given us the ability to really accept technology and help us to thrive in it. And so I hope that you will look up Catherine Clinch. Her details will be in the post when I post it. Catherine, you want to tell them how they can find you?
I'm at catherineclinch.com. The spelling is right there. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and TikTok, and I teach a certificate program in social media strategy and content marketing at Cal State Dominguez Hills.
I'm going to stay in contact with this lady. You're going to see more of us. Maybe it's like this virtual, but you're going to see more of us. Amazing. Thank you. This has been
so much.
This has been wonderful. We didn't even get to all the films that she's done, TV production, but you heard the names, right? And so you've got to, when you look at it, be like me now, slow down and look for the credits, her name. But thank
Always,
you.
please watch all the credits.
Yes.
Because the people who are carrying the lights are breaking their back. Give them the honor of watching the credits. And if you ever see a movie theater where you've got this older couple sitting in the back going, please move, sit down, I can't see the credits, that's me and my husband. We just do that.
I do that too now.
Yeah.
I do that too now. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this will inspire you and get you off the couch or the settee or the out of the car and do something that brings you joy. Get creative. This is a wonderful time to do that and a wonderful time to be inspired by Catherine Clinch. Didn't she inspire you? She inspired me. Bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye now.